What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dr. TJ, and I am with Dr. SL. Okay, and today we have some interesting topics to cover. So before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe, and hit that bell so you can get notified whenever we drop another video. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
So today we're going to be examining how psychological claims about groups of people and communities are reinforced, created, and challenged, especially when those claims become stereotypes about intelligence, behavior, health, or ability. Pass the mic over to Brother Saj, Dr. SL.
This podcast will be a research-driven narrative that will cover a major stereotype that has been negatively affected an entire community of people. And it will be our jobs to explain how these stereotypes become accepted as truth, even without evidence, and find ways in which social media pushes ideologies and finally exposes the truth that was strategically hidden from you. In this podcast, we will examine our topics on stereotypes that we individually studied. We will examine the validity of these stereotypes using research of other brilliant minds and our own. We both went out and conducted research with willing participants to support our own findings. We will express that in this podcast alongside the research that we studied to go along with it to address our separate stereotypes from a psychological perspective. Now, I'm going to pass the torch to Dr. TJ. Here you go, Timothy.
Okay, so that was interesting. Thank you, my boy. So, I will be touching up on the stereotype known as the Middle Eastern bomber stereotype, right? I'll be covering its origin, manifestation, and the damages it has caused. So if the topic offends you or makes you feel a certain way, at least you are informed on what I'll be covering, so you can decide if you want to skip this part of the video or not. It's really up to you, okay? All right. Arab American stereotypes usually range from misconceptions or negative, dehumanizing portrayals that have developed over time. Often, these stereotypes are significantly influenced by media representation as well as cultural narratives. And this negative representation of Middle Eastern people intensified after a tragic event took place in 2001. The George W. Bush Presidential Library and Museum highlights that on the morning of September 11th, 2001, 19 terrorists hijacked 4 planes, perpetrating a series of attacks that killed around 2,977 people. For further context, 2 jetliners slammed into the World Trade Center's Twin Towers in New York City, while another crashed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. But why does this matter? You see, the culprits of these attacks were said to believe to be Arab, Middle Eastern, Islam extremists. I guess we all can assume like how this, can affect the already misunderstood Middle Eastern people before, I even explain it. But after the terrorist attacks, some of those misconceptions were revealed. And according to my research, many innocent Muslims, Arab Americans, Southeast Asians, and other people of color became victims of hate crime and discrimination because they shared a similar appearance or cultural and religious background with the accused terrorist. As you can expect, this new wave of violence towards Middle Eastern people altered millions of perspectives, promoting resentment and violence towards innocent people who weren't even related to the attacks remotely. And in order to get a better understanding about how this stereotype negatively impacted Middle Eastern people, children, women, and men in their day-to-day lives, I wanted to take time out of my day to personally interview those who fit the necessary criteria, right? So that could be Middle Eastern people or Muslim followers or those affected by it. I interviewed a fellow entrepreneur as well as 2 other individuals, both around the same age. These are the results that I got. For the 4th question I asked, can you describe how you felt when you heard this stereotype? The entrepreneur stated that, I felt upset and disgusted. The younger sister stated that, it made me feel frustrated and sad because this is unfair to judge people based on where they come from or where they believe or what they believe. The other brother stated that, mostly frustrated. It feels unfair when people judge you based on your stereotype instead of who you actually are. And for the following question, I asked them how the stereotype affected them in life. And these are the answers that I received. The entrepreneur stated that, it affected me mentally. I felt oppressed, disrespected, and misrepresented. The younger sister stated, sometimes I feel nervous meeting new people because I wonder if they already have assumptions about me. The older brother said, "Sometimes I feel like I have to work harder to prove that I'm a normal person and not what people assume." But this is not the end of the story. I do believe that over time, if more stories of this stereotype that tears people or tears entire communities of innocent people, is told, I feel like people might start to second guess themselves on the perspectives that they built over these innocent people. And people like the older brother, whose name I won't be listing, the sister, whose name I won't be listing, and the entrepreneur, they won't feel bad about their ethnic group as much as they do if the truth is known and is more accepted, right? So honestly, at the end of the day, not every person that wears a hijab is a terrorist. Not every person that is dressed in Islam, cultural cloths and clothing and stuff like that, not every single one of those people are terrorists. So don't go around blindly following the hate train. It'll only make you an insufferable, obnoxious piece of shit. But I've spoken long enough, and it's time to pass the torch to Saji Boy.
Thank you, baby.
Whoa!
For my stereotype, I'm focusing on the perception of all gamers being incels / gaming making people incels. This stereotype is one that strives on negative aspects of gaming's effects. Gaming's effects are not all one descriptive point. There are multiple things that play into the aspect of gaming's effects on people. This is why I created my own research method. For my research, I decided to create a survey. In this survey, I asked a series of questions based on people's psychological perception of gaming to view how people's mental interpretations of gaming are descripted in a way that can connect with their life. I made 5 questions being, has gaming affected your life negatively? And if yes, how? Has gaming affected your life positively? And if yes, how? How do you think gaming has affected your current relationships? How do you think gaming will affect your future relationships? If you had to give a summary of gaming's effects on your life from your interpretation, what would it be? For the survey, I had 20 participants. And I won't be giving a description of each of their answers because it was long, but as a summary, they were basically reflective of the fact that gaming has both negative and positive effects on your relationships and overall health. This shows that gaming's effects rely way more on the gamer than the game. This research, in addition to the articles I read, shows that video games do not automatically lead to social isolation or incel tendencies. Instead, gaming has mixed effects depending on how it's used, with studies showing benefits for well-being and social connection, as well as risks when use become excessive. These findings can be linked to your brain processes such as neuroplasticity, where repeated gaming can strengthen skills involving the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and even the hippocampus and the amygdala. The research also connects social learning theory since multiplayer games involve cooperation and communication and self-concept, as gaming can shape identity and belonging in online communities. Overall, the evidence suggests that gaming's impact depends on balance and context rather than the gaming itself.